Welcome everybody to the July sysadmin SIG meeting. That's out today, so we're just kind of hanging out here and have some things to talk about. Fred, you said you had topics. We'll start with you.
Yes, I'm puzzled by inventory, and I don't have enough information to present a coherent picture of what is happening. But I scanned a collection and with my trusty barcode scanner, downloaded the barcodes and removed the A and the B from the beginning and end, and then put it into inventory. There are about, let's say, 80 to 90 barcodes, and I said limit to popular health rating. And every single one of them, including the ones I absolutely knew were there because I just scanned them, came up with not scanned.
It may be just the boxes you're checking on the tool. I'm trying to remember. I have some of them pre-checked. Do you have it exporting to a CSV file at the bottom?
I ran this several times with slightly different settings each time. I don't know if that would make a difference. But yeah, I exported to CSV. Let's see if I have any. Okay. Problem is I tried to get the list of books 3 different ways. Edit to a list and downloaded the list. Ended up with barcodes and then exported from the tools menu. Okay, let's see. All right, let me try sharing my screen.
Okay.
Okay, do you see my Excel sheet?
Yes.
Okay. And see, I put in, keeps coming up with different numbers too. Let's say, okay, 71. And they are all missing. If you want, I can open up Koha and do the inventory again. See, maybe I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah, that might help. We can
Okay,
see what
stop
settings you're using.
sharing.
I don't really use inventory, so I don't know what's required, but I noticed in your Excel spreadsheet, the barcode is in that strange barcode format with the.
Yeah, that's an Excel thing.
Does that matter when you're bringing it into Koha?
No.
No, so the report that Fred just showed us is the output from the inventory tool.
Okay.
Actually, let me get rid of all the stuff that the actually have a nice color-coded list of all the titles, except I can't remember what all the colors are. All right. And let me start up Koha. share my screen. Okay, here are all the, no, they aren't. Go back to, okay. Working copy, these are all the barcodes I scanned. And some other tools, as I recall. Inventory. Okay, that is a list of barcodes. And compare barcode list to results, I think.
Yeah, so I have that one checked, and I have do not check in during.
Okay.
I mean, that shouldn't affect your.
Yeah. And location, popular health reading.
And then for me, I always have location, or like where it says home library, current library. I've got that.
Yeah, we just have the one.
But you might hit the bubble for home library just so that it doesn't, so it knows.
Okay.
And then the rest of it I leave blank.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
And then I export to CSV.
Okay. I'm just gonna export it to the screen.
Okay.
Okay. And just show all. Now, yes, we're probably missing a few, but I know very well. I don't know why New England Journal of Medicine is in here because it should not be in Popular Health. But every single one of them is missing, not scanned.
So
I'm going to stop sharing.
have you compared the, like if you pull one of those missing not scanned and then like do a control F in your notepad document, it's there?
Yes. Let me do one at random. Should we share my screen again? Okay, this one at random.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to open up another window. This one probably won't be there.
Okay. Okay,
And
last seen date did get updated on that one. If you go back to the tools window, or the tab that you were, the other tab.
okay. That one?
Yeah, and just do a control F here, and then put your paste your barcode into that search box there.
Now this is interesting. Well, let's see.
So it's not in that list. So this list is telling you everything that is in that shelf location of popular health reading, but isn't in your list of barcodes that you uploaded.
Yeah. Let me try another one at random.
So if you click on one of these ones that is on the screen right now, the date last seen is not updated because it wasn't in your file of barcodes. So I think it is reflective. Maybe the barcode file doesn't have everything in it. Another thing I guess you could check is how many barcodes are in your file versus how many items are in that shelf location.
Mm-hmm.
And if the count is, I guess there's 70 here on your list here. So I guess if the count is off by 70, then you do have a somewhat accurate result.
Yeah, I don't understand. Yeah, but yeah, I took this list and put it into this one. Okay. Okay, clearly I'm going to have to look around a little more. If it was
Yeah,
counted in inventory, it would have the current date for last seen.
right. So whenever you run
Okay.
it through the inventory tool, it updates the date last seen. So you can run a report on that as well. I can give you my inventory report. If I can get to it. But basically, yeah, if you run a report on everything that has a last seen date, less than whenever you do the upload, then they'll give you that list of things that it didn't see and that you should look for. But it seems like maybe if you're sure that some of that stuff is on the shelf, but it's coming up on that inventory report, it might not have gotten into your barcode file correctly. So that might be a place to look as well. Here's, and this is probably more than you need, but I'll put it in the chat.
Okay.
It's too long.
There's the.
I won't put it in the chat. I'll put it in a document and link it in the chat. But it's got like transit statuses and stuff that you won't need since you're a one-stop shop. So I'll work on getting that into a document.
Okay. But I absolutely know that I just scanned that book, but it's not there.
Inventory leads to insanity as well.
Oh, okay.
There's the constant beep, and then you lose your mind at some point. But yeah, I mean, as far as your upload process, that's the same thing that we do.
Okay,
so I don't think it's that.
I'm not doing something wrong that way. I'm doing something wrong somewhere else, which is, I guess, comforting to know.
All right.
But yeah, we have far too many reference books. We can make them circulating. But I figured the first thing we really needed to do is find out how many have gone away. A couple of years ago, when all computers were shut down, started doing inventory, and I found out about 15% of what we had was missing. Sorry, what we were supposed to have.
Okay. There's the link to the document with
Okay,
the SQL in
you.
it. And like I said, it's got things tied in you probably don't need, but
that's all right.
That's what I use for shelf location. And then if I want to do I have another report for the entire location, which is just taking off the shelf location filter. basically.
And let's see, is this going to give me a box or a file or a place to put a file? I'll find out.
No, so this one's just going to look at the results of your upload. So if you run it for that shelf location that you just picked, the popular, and then pick the date, which is today's date, because that's the date of your upload, then it's going to list out everything that it thinks you should have scanned, but didn't get read into the inventory tool.
Okay. Thanks, I'll give it a try.
Okay, so any other inventory related questions while we're on the topic? I do know another approach that some people take for inventory is just marking everything missing and then going and checking it in one by one. So if you need a different strategy, that works.
You know, that might actually be easier.
The quick and dirty approach. I think that's what George calls it. Then you can just run a report on the lost status and see what you didn't scan yet.
Let's see, would I be able to scan into a file and then run that, or I'd have to do it one by one?
I think the approach is usually doing it one by one into the check-in tool because there's no I mean, the closest thing to batch check-in we have is the inventory tool. So technically you could run that file through the inventory tool just like you're doing, and it should check things in as long as you're not skipping the checked out item. No, that's not true.
Yeah, I tried the offline circulation tool. Yeah, it worked really well a few years ago, but I haven't been successful with it. But I haven't done a whole lot of it. I haven't used it a lot since then.
I've never used it. I know that the Bywater Monday Minutes was on the offline circulation tool this week. So if you want to watch that one,
okay,
that might get you up to speed with it. We've always been hesitant to use it just because it had problems because of our consortium, you know, we're too big. So it would time out and things like that. So we've never really given it a shot.
Yeah, when I was first setting up Koha in, I think, 3.12, the only way I could get things to show up in the catalog is if I check them out and then back in.
That sounds like a problem.
I don't know why, but remember, I don't know what I was doing back then. So I set up a fake patron. Since then, I've added both my dogs as patrons with pictures.
Our number one test patron is Bonnie the dog, but she has a fake picture. We just stole her image off the internet. We did some dog identity theft for our test patron.
Yeah, this is her. She's 50 pounds of love, exuberance, and toenails. Either that or it's where I got variolated.
I put the link to the Bywater blog post in the chat just in case if anybody wants to look at that. Are there other things you guys want to talk about today? I can show off what I've been working on, I guess. Somewhat sysadmin-y. If I can manage my windows. All right, we're just going in on this one that has like 1,000 tabs open. I think this one. Let me close my email. that'll be safe. All right. So I've been working on this idea of like dashboards for reporting. So I came up with this one. So I guess to back up a little, we're using right now just an external table full of reports so I send this out as a reminder every month to my libraries to run these reports, look for problems, resolve them. And it's kind of divided out into cert cataloging, and then for patrons, we just have like a expired patron deletion report. But I don't like that it's external to Koha, so I've been working on like an alternative that's built into Koha using some of those system preferences that are allow us to put HTML custom things here. So I just took that table that we normally use, and I've been trying to like build it up here. And then I'm using some JSON and a report to pull in the values directly in. So when the page loads, it runs the report and then gives me a count for each of the related reports. And then I'm also using some emphasis on like, since we are a consortium, we always have to be mindful that like one library has borrowed something from another library, and you need to focus on getting those items back first. So I wanted to add emphasis on that sort of thing. And then I don't have it set up yet, but you can see the URL down there that it's just kind of an empty link, but my goal is to get them all synced up with separate reports. So when you click on this 147, it brings up the list of 147 items. And then I've got things divided out into different issue areas. And then, yeah, so my plan is to have that all linked up. And then yeah, so I built that up in the internet circulation home HTML, and I just borrowed that whole tabbed business from one of the W3 example pages, and then kind of tweaked it to how I wanted it. And then it used a little JavaScript, which I just plopped in there too. And then on the report, I think, oh, over here is the jQuery that's actually pulling in the data from the report. So I've created different variables that associate with the different boxes here. So what it's actually doing is it's replacing the spinning icon with the number in each case. So like this is the first spinning icon replacement thing. So I've associated it, and it's replacing that with that, and the report result is here, and then it replaces, okay, yeah, that's what I did. So the variable is declaring the report result, and then if you look at the HTML, you can see that the spinny icon is here, and I've given an ID of ODA for the first overdue report. And then with the jQuery, I'm pulling in the number with the variable, and then I'm replacing that icon with the number there. And then I think I have the report pulled up here. So this is the report, and it's just a bunch of nasty SQL. So it's running all the numbers, and then I've unioned in like however many results there are that many reports. I guess one of my concerns is that it's gonna like be detrimental to load that every time the page loads, but I know that we can also cache reports, so I may just have it update like once a day or once every 12 hours or something, so that it's not running a report anytime someone clicks on circulation. But I thought that was a cleaner way to kind of bring the issues to light, and hopefully my librarians will pay more attention to that kind of stuff if it's right in their face. That's kind of my goal. And then I want to add more to the different pages. So of course, circulation on the circulation page, cataloging on the cataloging page. On the reports page, I'm thinking I can right now I've got like quick statistics here. I've replaced the wizards with quick statistics, so I'm thinking I could pull out the monthly data and just have it displayed below, and have it load automatically so they don't have to actually run those reports to get their monthly information. Yeah, so that's the project I've been currently kind of focused on and thought I would share. And I've bored Fred so much that he wandered off.
I think that's really cool.
Like I said, my only worry is that it's gonna like put too much load on the system running, because it's running like a bunch of simultaneous reports. And I know I've been discouraged in the past from using JSON too much in my jQuery, but I think it'll be okay. It loads slower on my test server, of course. So I guess I'll give it a shot, and if I crash Koha, then I get a sticker for the day.
Yeah, you won't know unless you try.
Exactly. So that's my current project. I'm also looking at course reserves more as a display module, like Ed showed off in Portland a few years ago. We found that it may be beneficial for us to go down that road. We only have one community college and they're not using course reserves. They're not using the module. So I think it might be beneficial for us to approach it as a display module for now. Just to, I didn't realize that it actually lets you temporarily change the item's shelf location, which is what we need, so that when you're looking at the holds queue, you can see it's on the new shelf instead of its regular permanent location. But it's going to take some tweaks to make it work the way I want to and cleanly. I was playing with a drop down thing earlier to kind of like pre-populate some of the fields, but then also let freeform text be typed in there as well, which I didn't know you could do, but I learned you could. So I thought that was kind of handy too.
So using it that way, does it, it sets the location as display? And then are these things that are like on a display that people just get to look at, or are these things that people can then check out? And then what happens?
You can set it up either way, I think. I mean, like when you're choosing, I can bring it back up. I think I saw that tab open too. If I can get rid of the Zoom controls. So this is kind of where I was playing with it, where I was thinking about renaming different things. So, but when you, let's see, I'm gonna need a book too, and that one's already in. Test server is really slow. Okay, so like I've created this course and called it new items, which is, we would change that to say display. So this is the new item shelf. When I add the item to the display, it gives me the option to change all of these things. So if I wanted it to just be on display, but like a non-circulating display, then I could change the item type temporarily to doesn't circulate. And then I could also change the shelf location to new or display. I think we have a display. So, but it retains the old value as well. If somebody checks it out, I think it's still going back to this temporary location. I haven't tested that much on it. I think it's staying in the display area until you remove it from the list here. So you can see the old location and the old item type, and then the temporaries here.
And when you remove it, do you have to remove it one by one, or is there a batch way to like remove a bunch of them?
That was one of my questions too. I don't think there is a way to batch remove. There's these buttons here. Maybe if you delete the course, yeah, that might be the fastest way, is just to delete the display entirely. And I would assume that it reverts it, so we can find out. Okay, so it was temporarily a new book. And now that the course is deleted, it's back to young adult sci-fi fantasy. So that's the quickest way I would say to remove them, is just to kill it altogether.
Yeah, when we catalog, we have item types that are like, we have regular fiction, and we have, or not item types, we have a location of regular fiction and a location of new fiction. And so when we catalog, it goes to new fiction, and it gets a little month dot on it, so you know what month it was added, and it stays that way for like a year. And then staff pull off the things after they're a year old, and we batch update whatever we've pulled to the old fiction location. So some things are, some things that were added in June of 2020, we're still in new fiction because they keep checking out and we never get our hands on them.
Right.
But other stuff's coming in, and so we're batch updating those to move them into the older fiction section. So that's why I was curious.
Yeah, your process sounds pretty similar to ours. So it's not always reflective in the catalog where it's sitting. And I think that this, like, we can't batch things really, because we're going from our new book location to one of many non so like we'll go from new book to adult fiction, or new book to adult mystery, that kind of thing. So
Yeah,
it's a one
we still have to group ours. So like we have like a one-to-one relationship. So we have, romance and new romance, mystery and new mystery, and chapter books and new chapter books. So they do have, when they batch, they do have to group like things together. Otherwise they would miss everything.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's kind of our problem right now, is since we don't have that, it has to be managed one at a time. So I think that this will help us if we can get it set up, because then they'll have a list of everything that should be on the new shelf, and when they're ready to take it off, they can pull the card over and just hit remove on the ones that need taken off. And then they don't have to mess with cataloging at all. They don't have to go in and change anything. It's just reverting back to what it should be, its permanent area. And same thing with displays. It should be easier. Staff that don't do cataloging won't have to know how to do cataloging, that kind of thing. So that's what I had to talk about today. Does anybody else have anything they want to ask or talk about or share?
I have a question about the log files, and specifically holds. I know it kind of comes in waves at our libraries. Patrons who get confused by the not needed after when they're placing a hold. So we've got a bunch of people who are having their holds expire like in 2 or 3 days, thinking that they can pick them up in 2 or 3 days. But I'm trying to figure out how in the log files I can show the librarians that it's the patron's fault and not Koha's fault. But I'm having trouble with the log files for holds seem to be really short. But when I go and look at how long we're keeping information, it's showing 90 days. So I'm hoping somebody can either point me in the right direction or point me to a resource where I can learn more about how to properly use the log files.
So I know I've had not great luck with the logs either. We had only been keeping information for like a month, and we've stepped that up, but I have trouble finding information same as you. Like sometimes I'll end up seeing like information about a hold in the cataloging log before I see it in the circ log. Um, I'm not sure. I don't use them that much. Does anybody else have more experience with that log?
Not with the logs, but I'm looking at our OPAC and like holds. And I think we removed the not needed after because of that sort of problem, so that the patron just didn't even have the choice. I'm looking around.
So you just got rid of that altogether because you had patrons doing the exact same thing?
It was for some reason, I can't remember if it was that or what, but like if I'm looking at my screen and I don't have that. Well, let me actually place the hold. Yeah, we're not displaying it. I'll have to poke around and see what I did to make it not display.
Yeah, and I don't think we automatically expire holds, and I don't think we have a lot of libraries using that, or patrons even using that, where they set a not needed after date. So I don't know what that looks like in the logs. My guess is it's gonna say that it's a intranet, or maybe I don't think it's gonna say that the OPAC deleted it, because it's probably like a cron job that's actually deleting it automatically. So I would guess that it's gonna say the interfaces is the intranet and not the OPAC, even though it's the patron's fault. I wonder if you could, is the not needed by date in the holds table? Like, is it stored there? Because it may be stored in the old holds table too. So you could run a query on like a deleted hold and see if it had a not needed by date set, possibly. And then you could like come to the conclusion that the patron must have set that not needed by date from that information. I don't know for sure. I think have to like recreate the scenario and see if we could make it play out in the logs.
Okay, I'll see if I can find, I'll play around with it some more. I've been looking for, better way to use the log information because it has so much there, but I'm having trouble finding resources. So if you've got other places to send me, I'm all ears or eyeballs or.
Maybe someone could do a presentation on it.
There's a little information in this blog post, and I know that there's, I guess they reference it here. Yeah, there's information on the wiki. That isn't not it though. About the logs, but I don't know if that's going to be helpful at all either. It looks like it's just kind of displaying what each category of logs keeps track of, but it does actually include the different like actions and stuff. So I'm not sure where on the wiki that Oh, it is on this reports page. It's just a little ways down. So create, cancel, delete, and modify are the things that the holds log should be tracking. So, I mean, you should be able to run it for holds cancel, possibly, or holds delete, or both, and find those things. But like I said, I don't have enough experience with the hold logs, and they kind of burned me in the past, so I don't lean on them too much, just because it's been incomplete information for me in the past.
Thank you. Those are really good places to start. So thank you.
I've had a lot of trouble with holds, but I only do one about every 6 months or so.
Other questions or topics we want to talk about? Any system administration quandaries? Oh, I guess I have a question. Does anybody here use Niche Academy?
We do.
Do you authenticate through SIP for it?
I don't think so. I think it's like always available.
Okay. I've got a library that wants to do SIP authentication, and they're telling us strange things. So I just wondered.
I think we just, we subscribe and we have the link for them to get to everything, but it's not a user authenticated thing, but maybe it's supposed to be.
It can be. Like, I've got access to the backend settings for their account, and there's a place to put in the SIP connection information. And then there's a checkbox that lets you require SIP to authenticate. And they told us that if the connection's working, that little checkbox will light up. But we can't get the box to light up, even though I've confirmed that the SIP connection works. And then they told us that the SIP login needs to be the same as the user login, like the admin user login. So I guess I'll have Bywater set up a new SIP account and see if that works, but I'm a little skeptical that that's the case. I just wondered if anybody else had experience fighting with Niche. All right, I will tread forward then, see where I get. Well, I guess if there aren't any other topics, I mean, for not having an agenda and not having a SIG leader, I think we did pretty well. We
Yep.
almost filled the whole hour. So I think that we can call this one a wrap. And I will see you all probably before next month. But if not before, then definitely next month at this same bat time, same bat channel.
Thank you,
I'm not
Jason.
old enough
Thank you,
to remember
everyone.
that.
Jason,
Thanks, everybody.
bye.
Bye.